Hey guys, this is Sports with Dylan. Vladimir Tarasenko, the superstar Blues forward who helped them win the Stanley Cup, has now been traded to the New York Rangers. You know, this trade kinda makes me mad. Not because of the trade itself. I love a good trade, and I'm not exactly a Blues or Rangers fan, so I'm not disappointed by the result. But because I have had a players that could be traded, potential trades video in the works for about 2 weeks now. But every single time I'm about to make that video, then some new news happens, and then that video gets pushed back. I was this close to making it yesterday, but then I said to myself, you know what, I'm kind of busy today. Why don't I just wait till Friday? Then we're a bit closer to the trade deadline and a bit further away from my last video. But in my head, I said to myself, you know, there might be a massive trade tomorrow, and then you won't be making that video. And guess what happened? There was a trade today, which means that video, which included Vladimir Tarasenko, can no longer be made. I now have to rewrite who I think will be traded and where I think they'll be traded, and then still make that video, but in a couple of days, because I don't want to release a video 2 days in a row unless it's breaking news. But that is aside from the point, no need for my long rant. In exchange, the St. Louis Blues received Sammy Blais, a solid forward, Hunter Skinner, a good prospect, a 2023 first-round pick, and a 2024 fourth-round pick. That is a pretty good return if you ask me. I would say this is a very, very even deal, but it all depends on how deep the Rangers go. I still think the Blues are a fine team, but based on their division this year, they just haven't been performing. It feels like they're aging a bit. They just don't have the defense or the goaltending anymore. Vladimir Tarasenko was great this year in St. Louis, but you just can't justify keeping an older player. And by the way, Vladimir Tarasenko actually requested a trade in 2021. I vaguely recall talking about it in a video, although I'm never going to be able to find which video I mentioned it in, because my titling was terrible back then. Anyways, that trade obviously never went through right away as he would have hoped. He played all of last season for the Blues, and then started this season with the Blues, when the Blues thought they could still contend for the playoffs. But now that they realize that they're probably not going to make the playoffs, and even if they do make the playoffs, they're not making a deep run, then it makes sense to trade away Vladimir Tarasenko. Now, from the Rangers' point of view of this, I think it's a good deal, but like I said, it all depends on how they do. I think the Rangers are a good team. They proved last year. They made it to the semifinals. They seem like a good team. Maybe Vladimir Tarasenko is the one piece they need to push them over the edge. They now get a solid forward, and I think this was a great deal for them in that case. But if the Rangers go and get eliminated in the first or second round, it was not at all worth it. Especially given the fact that Vladimir Tarasenko is a pending free agent. I suspect that he'll be signed to an extension in New York, but they're a bit tight on cap space, and coming up, they're going to need to re-sign people like Igor Shesterkin and Artemi Panarin soon, which means that it might make more sense to just let Vladimir Tarasenko walk if he doesn't make the impact they're hoping he does. Now that Vladimir Tarasenko has been shipped out, I suspect Ryan O'Reilly will be following suit very soon. Although he is injured, which could limit his market, when he's on the ice, he's still a solid player. And I believe the biggest impact he'll have will be in the locker room. I see him as a great leader, better than Vladimir Tarasenko. There's a reason that he got the captain's job over Tarasenko. And now that the Blues have shown that they are accepting the fact that they're likely not to make a deep run, then it makes sense. Same scenario. Both players are in their early 30s. Both players will likely not be around when the Blues are actually aiming to win the Stanley Cup again. So it just makes sense overall to trade away these players. But a bigger question would be, what does this mean for Patrick Kane? I could have sworn, I had it down, he was going to be a Ranger. He was going to reunite with Artemi Panarin. But now that the Rangers have gone and traded for Tarasenko, they are not going to trade for anyone else. They're close enough to the salary cap, and I think they have a good enough roster. I don't think they need to trade for anyone else. And Patrick Kane would cost a lot. It does not make sense for them to trade for Patrick Kane. So where the heck does he go? Honestly, I have to do a bit more research. I mean, I could see him going to some contender. Maybe Vegas tries and swings a trade now. I could see Colorado going for it. We'll see. I will do some more research before I make my trades video. That's for sure. And hopefully I am able to make my trades video soon. All in all, I like this trade a lot because the Blues get a pick and some younger players they'll be able to build around. Meanwhile, the Rangers get a star player that should improve this team vastly. Although they might have a bit of trouble in the playoffs with the Hurricanes and Bruins specifically, I believe they will be able to make a deep run. Thanks for watching.